Can you just give me your name and spell it first?
I'm David Keller, Keller.
All right.
And then you're representing Fabian. Can you just pronounce his full name for us too?
Yes, Fabian Schmidt.
So you're representing him. So you just spoke with him moments ago. How's he doing?
He's, obviously he's very disturbed. This is a completely new environment. We're talking about a federal prison, and he's not accustomed to any of this type of behavior or any situations of being held at all like this.
Just going back to the events that happened, can you just explain to us, what exactly happened at the airport? What is he saying that happened? I know that he was detained and he claims that there was some sort of torture.
There was a long, unnecessary detention of Mr. Schmidt from Friday till Tuesday. This is clearly a disgrace, and I'm astonished at the behavior that he received. There were unnecessary interrogation tactics imposed, and without disclosing any of my personal conversations with my client, it broke him to the point where, medically speaking, he needed to be transported to the hospital.
And this is because, he has a green card, but they're saying that he detained him because of a previous drug charge. Can you elaborate on that?
I can't elaborate on that because there hasn't been any sort of official charges pressed against Mr. Schmidt relative to his status. He is a lawful permanent resident.
Can you confirm that there was a previous drug charge out of California, I believe?
All of his California matters were resolved. There may or may not be anything of which would be relative to his detention. However, again, the first stage is that the Department of Homeland Security needs to give him a notice to appear, which would then allow for me to file for and seek bond on his behalf.
You said that he was in the hospital. How did they evaluate him? What came out of that?
He had a severe fever and had suffered influenza B and had not been medically treated. When complaining about his situation in his heart, he was asked not to, quote unquote, med out, and was treated poorly about his medical requests.
How long was he in the hospital?
I believe 1 day. I am still seeking those medical records.
What is the medication he was on, and is he back on it?
I'm not going to disclose that, but he is feeling better, relatively speaking. Again, he's held in a federal facility, and this is not, he's separated from his family and his loved ones. This is, again, not something he's accustomed to at all, and he's just very thankful for all of the support of everybody here and in his home state of New Hampshire.
Has he seen family at all since?
No, he has not.
And
in fact, he had family waiting for him at the airport, who wasn't able to even speak with him, was calling eventually authorities because essentially he hadn't shown up from the airport.
He's being held without charge at this point? Is that
currently, since March 7th, he has not been notified of his notice to appear.
And can I just ask, from a law perspective, what does that say to you? I mean, can somebody be held this long with no charges? Is this a thing?
It shouldn't be. It does happen, but it shouldn't be. There is a much faster process to figure out what imagine yourself being charged with a crime, held, and not even knowing what the crime is.
Right.
That's essentially his situation.
Very Kafka.
Without the ability to post a bail.
Right.
And then the argument here, too, is that he has a green card and he was still detained. Can you just elaborate on that and his reaction to that?
Unfortunately, this is a trend that we're seeing, that there are people with lawful status that are being stopped at our borders and mistreated. What we're doing about that, I think, needs to be vocalized and brought to our political leaders. He, again, thanks you all for the support. And I would recommend, if you're unsatisfied as I am with this type of behavior and process, that you reach out to your local authorities and your elected officials and try to seek some help.
So what's the next step here to try and get him out and back with his family?
Well, the first process would be this notice to appear, which has not been provided yet. And once that is available, then seeking a bond.
You said he can't see his family. Who's preventing him from seeing them? Is the prison or
Well,
the
I should say he
or-
just has not yet. I believe there would be a possibility for them to coordinate that with Wyatt.
What are the conditions inside?
It's a federal prison. It's you know, it's
don't.
it's not
I don't.
enjoyable. It's not enjoyable. You know, he's not being currently charged with anything, but he is housed with very, very serious convicted felons.
I was under the impression that there was a separate wing for people who would be detained as illegal immigrant, whatever, right? Non-documented people. Is that not the case here?
Well, I know he is being housed in and being commingling with.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then just to confirm, he was back visiting family, correct? And just,
Yes, he's a German national, so he was at home visiting his father, and then was traveling back from a simple vacation to be stopped at the border like this in Boston, of all places. I think is very tragic.
And then just what day did that confirm, and how long has he been here?
So that was March 7th when he was stopped at our border on his return flight, and it's the 18th today. So we're talking near this Friday will be 2 weeks of detention without even knowing what he's being detained for.
Is Germany complaining?
Yes. They, from what I'm gathering and from my understanding, there's actually even statements being addressing not traveling to the United States, which I think then addresses what is our nation doing about this? How is this being perceived globally? And is this something we should tolerate?
Are we having green card holders not travel outside the country? Is that being implemented?
Well, there certainly are a lot of people in fear, immigrant or otherwise, of this possible
Legal
detention.
residents who have green cards.
Legal residents, you know, there's been reports of citizens, you know, Puerto Ricans who are obviously U.S. citizens being detained even for brief periods before being, you know, verified what they are and what their legal status is.
Can you discuss Fabian's life at all in New Hampshire? What does he do? What's he like? What kind
He's
of...
a wonderful, wonderful man. I can tell you, you know, speaking with him, I'm quite taken by his just charm, his charisma, his beautiful, hopeful attitude, and that's a horrible thing to crush in a situation like this. To see just somebody, you know, struggling to stay positive. He's an upbeat person. He loves his family. He contributes greatly to the community. I've received countless letters of support on his behalf. And I know that he's a staple in his community. It's really seriously a horrible, horrible thing that he's being held here.
So really right now you just don't know why they're holding him. They're not confirming why, and you can't say that it's because of these previous drug
If you
charges.
don't have pending allegations, you can't know what you're being held on. That's just the bottom line. And nobody should be treated like that at the border, whether they're lawful or not. The type and again, interrogation tactics that were employed are atrocious and should not be utilized as a way to try to get information. We live in a world where everything is essentially documented, and that can be pulled up. And to submit somebody to need to go to a hospital because of their physical condition, what does that say about us as a nation? And what are we to do about that? That's a problem.
And they wanted him to sign away his green card. Is that what they were asking him to do?
There was duress as a tactic used, yes, and that's something that struck me quite concerning. So we'll get to the bottom of that.
And did he?
No, he did not.
Has a habeas petition been filed, and so what jurisdiction?
It's premature for that.
Premature?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
And again, continued support for Fabian. Thank you very much. He does appreciate that. Everything that you're doing, ma'am. Everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Contact me.
Boston have any jurisdiction over Logan?
It is a federal airport, so it's federal jurisdiction. I am speaking with politicians about what we can do.
And you practice law here in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, or just
Massachusetts.
Just Massachusetts,
Yep.
but on a federal immigration level?
Correct.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And he wants, if anything, for this to stop for others. So just your ability to be here, he's very much appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for representing us. Yeah.